County Local Agency Formation Commission is now in session. Today is Wednesday, May 25th. It is 6 p.m. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, introductions of the commissioners. I'm Richard O'Brien, Vice Chair and City Member.
Oh. Do I have to turn this on? No, it's on. Ken Lane, Public Member.
Amy Bublak, City Member.
Manny Graywald from Stanislaus County, usually an alternative, but sitting in as a voting county member.
Bill Berryhill, alternate public member.
Javier Camarena, Assistant Executive Officer.
Sarah Little-Penny, Executive Officer.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO Counsel.
Jennifer Vieira, Commission Clerk.
Thank you. This time we'll have public comments. We have two individuals wishing to speak. First, Mr. Whetstone.
Good evening. My name is Dan Whetstone. I live at 7824 McHenry Avenue. I'm here to talk against the Riverwalk project. I don't know if you know much about it. It's the basin down below us there on the McHenry, between McHenry and Patterson, kind of. I think it's 1,500 acres or so. They're proposing to build about 3,500 homes. Again, it's just prime land, several miles from Riverbank. It seems to me that we should build, closer to Riverbank to start with. The land is prime. The water regeneration that land provides is real important. Traffic, of course, is just terrible out there, and what's it going to be after we get that many more homes? So again, when it comes down the pipe, we just hope you guys have looked ahead, and when you see things come across that might refer to that, just please keep your eyes open and consider it carefully. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Eggers.
Good evening. My name is Barney Eggers. I live at 7730 McHenry Avenue, next door to Mr. Whetstone. Been there for 33 years. You all have heard my opposition to Riverwalk a couple of times. I'll offer a fresh perspective. At a recent event that I attended, there were some well-known developers and real estate people, and the topic of Riverwalk came up, and being an inquisitive person, I said, well, tell me your perception of the difference between Riverwalk development and Tivoli. Tivoli, it's way east Modesto. That's a proposed village. And right away, these people looked at me like, that's a simple answer. Tivoli isn't prime farmland, and it isn't in a floodplain, as Riverwalk is. A good percent of Riverwalk is potentially floodable. It's also prime farmland, and it's maybe a good plan, but it's the wrong place for it. These people that have a background said, well, they're building in floodplain out in the Tracy area, and the people that, some of them have built big mounds to build their house on. I remember driving out that way during the flood of '97, and it was one continuous lake out there with a few homes perched above the flood waters. I just can't express my opposition strong enough to this. And I think anybody that is in a position like LAFCO has to take a strong look at what is right for the area. A cousin, architect in Santa Barbara, looked at this on Google Maps, and he says, this is a huge leapfrog jump. What's going on here? That would never be approved in Santa Barbara, a leap like that. Anyway, I think I've offered a fresh perspective. Oh, one last note. A neighbor that can't make it tonight worked for Coit and did a lot of cleanup after the flood of '97 in River Cove. Thank you.
Any other from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll go forward to the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve minutes from April 27, 2022 meeting.
Second.
We have, okay, all in, we have a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstain? Let's move on to correspondence.
Yes, you just have the one piece of specific correspondence that's on your agenda and no other items.
All right, thank you. At this time, we're going to offer any declarations of conflicts or disqualifications from any members of the staff or from the commission. Seeing none, we're moving forward to the consent calendar. Do I read both of the titles here at LAFCO? We do in a City of Action. I couldn't-
Not normally.
Not really? Okay, we have two consent items. Anyone wishing to pull any of these items? Any member of the public wishes to discuss any? Seeing none, I bring it back to the commission.
Motion to approve all consent items.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Moving on to public hearings. Okay, continue from March 22, 2022, LAFCO application number 2022-01, municipal service review number 2022-01, and SOI update number 2022-01, activation of latent powers sewer services for the Monterey Park Tract Community Service District.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Javier Camarena with LAFCO. As Vice Chair O'Brien mentioned, the item being discussed this evening is a LAFCO application, municipal service review, and sphere of influence update, all with the same number, 2022-01. The project is titled Activation of Latent Powers for the Monterey Park Tract Community Services District. The proposed project is a request for the Monterey Park CSD to activate a latent power in order to provide sewer services within its boundary. Municipal service review and sphere of influence update are also being considered as part of the proposal. The Monterey Park Tract CSD includes a rural subdivision known as the Monterey Park Tract. The following slide is an aerial of that area, that district, and the community that's within that district boundary. The site is located 1 mile west of the West Monte Vista Avenue and Crow's Landing Road intersection. You could see on the slide that little yellow dot, that's the intersection, just for reference. Currently, the district only provides water to its customers. Individual septic tanks and leach fields are used for wastewater treatment. The district has indicated that there is a growing concern about groundwater contamination caused by elevated density of septic systems. In accordance with government code, LAFCO approval is required for a special district to provide a new or additional service to its customers. The district conducted a septic to sewer system feasibility study, which can be found in your report attachments. The study evaluates several alternatives, including consolidation with the City of Ceres, consolidation with Keys Community Services District, potentially even connecting to the Stanislaus County Public Safety Center, and possibly septic system upgrades. Ultimately, the study found that a community sewer collection system with a centralized wastewater treatment facility was the most feasible option. The proposed new service is considered a change of organization under government code. When evaluating a change of organization, LAFCO must consider several factors. These factors include community impacts, growth, local plans and policies, impacts to agriculture and services. A discussion of these factors can be found on pages 2 through 6 of your staff report. Stanislaus County Planning and Department of Environmental Resources staff have shared comments with staff related to the proposal. The county's concerns are related to permitting authority, capacity and design of the proposed sewer facility, potential development of accessory dwelling units, area requirements for the site and replacement field, and the financial feasibility of the project. In regard to permitting authority, capacity, and design comments, it should be noted that the Commission's authority is whether or not to allow the district to provide sewer service. The district is not bound to providing a centralized wastewater treatment facility as mentioned in the feasibility study. The district may choose other options for providing the service if it sees fit. In regard to the development of accessory units, the district has indicated that the community is already limited in the number of units it can have due to the volume of water it receives. The community is already close to its threshold and will not see significant growth. And in regard to financial feasibility questions, construction of the sewer system is expected to be funded through the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, which is administered through the State Water Resources Control Board. Operation and management costs will be funded by monthly service fees, and staff has included a condition of approval requiring that the district obtain approval of an assessment, special tax, or other revenue source sufficient to maintain the sewer service and any related improvements prior to recording our certificate of completion. It should also be noted that the Commission cannot condition the project, cannot add conditions of approval that regulate land use or design standards regulating the system and its facilities. The district will already be subject to such standards locally and through the state. Staff has included conditions requiring that should the Commission approve the proposal, the annexation will be subject to protest proceedings. And as mentioned in the previous slide, staff has also conditioned the project that the district obtain approval of an assessment, special tax, or other revenue source to maintain the sewer service prior to recording the certificate of completion.
Copy, not to interrupt. You mentioned annexation accidentally. It is just adding a service.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're so used to dealing with annexations.
Yeah, this isn't an annexation. This is adding service.
Good, thank you.
My apologies. Thank you for catching that. So staff's recommendation can be found on page 8 of the staff report, which includes approval of the proposal as outlined in Resolution 2022-03. Approval of the resolution would approve the proposed service, certify the Commission has considered the environmental documentation provided by the district, approve the proposed new service. It will also approve the municipal service review and sphere of influence update as outlined in the resolution. The approval will also direct the executive officer to initiate protest proceedings. This concludes my presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Thank you. From the commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? I just have one clarification, if you will, for me. You say that the operation and maintenance fees, maintenance will be conducted through monthly fees, and then you're putting on an additional requirement for an assessment, or is that the same thing?
It would all be intended to be included in the rate. It's just
Okay,
our
so,
standard
okay.
language also includes the word assessment.
I just don't want to have fees on top of fees. Okay. All right, you answered my question.
I'm a little curious. This is a neighborhood that's fairly close to where I live. Went to school with a lot of the folks out there. I'm curious so if they're going to do their own system for water treatment and everything, is there ever any possibility of any growth out there? I mean, to make it all pay? That's a pretty limited area financially. And I'm just curious whether, I guess that would come up in a protest vote if they just didn't want to do it. But I'm a little bit curious. It's kind of a unique neighborhood. It always has been. And wonderful people out there, but definitely a more low-income area. So I'd be...
The subdivision itself that created that community was, the map was approved in 1941, so it was prior to
It had to go
all.
way back, because that would have never been something done.
Right, and it would not be consistent with current zoning
Yeah.
to put something like that out
Yeah,
there
so
now.
you don't see expansion out there or anything, even in spite of, yeah, okay.
You know, and
Okay.
the county's letter noted the latest, I don't want to say requirements, but the latest state laws that allow for accessory dwelling units.
Uh-huh.
And normally those could be allowed if there was water and sewer on properties. In this case, the district's already restricted and would be restricted too if it had sewer from adding additional units just based on the limitations of water and sewer. So if someone were to come in, even if they do find that they have never-ending amount of sewer but not water, if they come in for a building permit, they would need to get a will serve letter from the district. So if the district cannot provide that additional service, then the growth of an additional dwelling unit would not happen.
So it would be very difficult to...
So when you mentioned that earlier, is that consistent with the new state law 91, SB 91? I believe that's what it is.
It's mentioned in the county's letter, and Angela, in the honest, is probably a better expert on that,
And
but
if someone shakes their head, yes, that's fine with me.
You know, if I may, City of Ceres, when I served on the council for many years, we dealt with the water situation out there. We provided water to the folks, and it was studied long and hard and that sort of thing. So there's not a lot of alternatives for these people out there. And it is a community that's been there a long time. So we obviously are providing water, I say back then on my vote, providing water to the facilities out there for Monterey Tract, which I think was the right vote to make. And the county was behind that because we were like, what if they don't pay, right? What's going to happen? And I'm seeing some heads out there that I've seen picking at the council chambers and the city of Ceres at the time when we were discussing these things, right? So I don't see I see this as a good thing for the community. I don't see it as a bad thing. I think that there is not going to be a lot of growth out there. And I think that when they put their applications forward to the city of Ceres and through all the state agencies that we dealt with and kind of put the county on the hook too with it, if you will, who's going to pay the bill if they don't, right? They've been good stewards. So I think this is a great project for them, and I think it's necessary for them. And I think it's good for the environment. I think it's good for every cause that's mentioned in this report. And I'm glad that LAFCO is saying, you know, that we should approve this. So saying that, I know you're gonna open it up, but I would be very much supportive of it.
Thank you. Any other comments? This is a public hearing. I open the public hearing.
Good evening. My name is Francisco Diaz, and I am the board president of the water board for Monterey Tract. Nice to see you again.
You too.
Yes. One of the things that working on this is because when I moved in, we don't have water. Now we have water. We don't have sewer. And the reason that we don't have water and good water was because all the leak that we have for the sewer system that we have in place right now, and it still is deteriorated. And every time that somebody do something, they just only fix it. They don't do the Afco changes. So I make the application to the state, and they give give it to us the study, the funds for the study. And we are now at the point that for us to continue, we need the approval for LAFCO and the mountain for us to be able to service the community. The community in the last 6 years has just grown just only like 2 houses. Okay, so that's how it grows. But we have the whole tract was made for 70 lots, but we still have ability to still for 10 more. So if they want to move in, or, because we have empty lots, so that's why we say we have 10 more available for the growth, but the move is very slow. So I'm here, and my consultant, my self-help enterprise are here if you have any questions, and specific questions, so we can maybe answer.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close public hearing, bring it back to the commission for consideration.
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second with the stipulations by LAFCO staff. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Or abstained? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. We're moving on to final LAFCO budget for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Okay. So tonight we'll be asking the Commission to approve the final budget with a minor amendment from what the Commission approved last month during the proposed budget. So the proposed budget was approved April 27th, and at that meeting, the Commission had some discussion and direction to staff regarding bringing back additional information regarding staff salaries, surveys with the 8 counties, and then potential classification studies for its employees. The Commission contracts with the county for its staffing. We're considered county staff, although we're also LAFCO staff, and we respond directly to the Commission. We're also in the county classification system and the benefit system, so it makes it a little complicated. We have to go through the HR process and then also go back to LAFCO for final approval. So with the initial study that we did, the overall recommendation for tonight is to include $14,570 in addition to the proposed budget to cover the estimated reclassification expenses. And so very briefly, this is a summary of the 8-county salary survey that we did for the other LAFCOs in the 8 counties that are compared to Stanislaus. The chart here gives you just a summary of it. The 8 counties themselves are all outlined in your report. Embarrassingly enough, Stanislaus LAFCO's executive officer makes the lowest out of the 8 counties. We also found that the assistant executive officer does trend lower on average than the other 8 counties, slightly lower, and has the lowest starting range at least. And the one positive thing to note was that the commission clerk position, which was reclassified by the county in 2009, does still appear to remain competitive. Also attached to the report for the commission's information is a comparison chart to the other agencies in the county. This data will all be provided to the county for use in their classification study. So the process itself, the county's classification studies typically align with their budget cycle, and that time frame does not align with the commission's budget. So commission's budget is due by June 15th. County will still be adopting their final budget in September. So what we're hoping to do tonight is include the estimated impact of a reclassification study in our budget so that we don't have to go back multiple times to the funding agencies throughout the year. Any modification that comes as a result of the reclassification study will need to return to the commission, like I said, It also requires Board of Supervisor approval, and then probably some amendments to our memorandum of understanding and the agreement with the EO. So this is what the actual amendment looks like, and we have the detailed, each individual detailed account attached to the report as well. But you could see the $14,570 estimated reclassification expense, and then how that affects the agency contributions. And with that, staff has multiple recommendations here. First is to adopt the resolution that approves the final budget. Next would be to direct staff to provide notice of to the funding agencies of the adopted budget. We're then going to request that the county auditor apportion and collect the net operating expenses. And then finally, the commission would formally request that the county initiate the compensation and classification studies, and then authorize the chairperson to sign as supervisor for the executive officer. And I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions before I open it to the public? Seeing none. This is a public hearing. Is there any public input? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Bring it back. I know that there's you have a dual boss. We're your boss, but we're not your boss. And the Board of Supervisors is, and you have to deal with, that can be considered a conflict. I know it probably is not, but it could be, especially if there's something city versus county, that could be an issue. But I would like to see the comp and class study and changes made, so we'll have less of a friction if there are conflicts that come on up. But I think you guys do a great job, and you do a staff of 10 with 3, of course with your assistants, but you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Anyone from the commission wanting to make a consideration?
No, I'd just like to say, when I looked at the numbers, because I wasn't here last meeting, I'm thinking, man, gosh, there's $1,000 probably more for groceries. There's the fuel prices have gone up, right? I mean, I'd look at the whole picture, right, and going way back, right, when I was here, when Amy, I think, took my place originally, still here. Back then, and you know what, you guys did a phenomenal job with a small staff, and you know, I've always admired the staff from LAFCO and what they do. So, you know, I wish we could give you more, right? Honestly, but anyway, I wasn't here for that discussion. But thank you for your report, and I certainly am very supportive of it. So that's a motion to move
So
forward.
his motion was to adopt 22-07, direct the staff to notice to the funding agencies, request the county auditor apportion and collect the net operating expenses, and request the county initiate compensation and classification study. Is that correct, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to commissioners' comments. Any commissioners' comments? Okay, there is no additional matters?
I would only like to mention one, regarding what happened in Texas for these little kids. I'd just like to, if we could, just take a moment and bow our heads and give these families and children that were killed in this awful situation that happened back there that nobody deserves. So if we could just take a moment of silence, Richard, I'd appreciate that.
Go ahead, yes.
Thank you.
All right, Executive Officer report.
So as mentioned during the last meeting, Commissioner Withrow had advertised the bus tours that were being given by the Board of Supervisors during their special meetings for the unincorporated islands. And myself and your LAFCO council attended the previous 2 tours, which were very beneficial, and I believe there's another one upcoming in June, middle of June. And they'll be going, I believe, to the Turlock area, although I'm not entirely sure, but it's in Supervisor Chiesa's district. But those have been very beneficial for us to go out also and hear members of the public who oftentimes have questions about annexation, so it's been a good experience. We continue to work on our service reviews, especially for the fire protection district. Javier sent out requests for information surveys to all of them, and we'll be reaching out to get in touch with them one-on-one to go over the information. We do not have any public hearings scheduled for June, and we recommend going ahead and canceling that meeting. Staff continues to be in high demand for pre-application meetings for various projects that are, most of them are in very early stages. And we'll also be scheduling a protest hearing for the Monterey Park Tract item that we just heard. So still busy, but we'll probably pass on June.
Since that's not an actionable item, if we did not go in June, is it July or August? Which month is we dark?
So the protest hearing itself will likely be in July, so let's keep that tentative, and
Okay.
we will probably likely be seeing each other again with a full agenda in August.
Okay. All right. At this time, we'll adjourn to our meeting in July, whatever date that is. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. All have a good evening.